Hey all. So this is my first time streaming, so I'm gonna ask a couple of questions to the people that are in the room. So yeah, can I get a yes or no on mic levels? How do things sound? All right, nice, cool. Um, Sick, awesome to see some former punch kick people in the chat. It's it's been a while. Hope you guys have been absolutely fantastic. Um, yeah, so I'm just gonna like dive right into things. So, I guess just for some background context, one of the things that I wanted to do this year is to start just making more like educational content, development content, and try to just generally like be a resource for the development community because as like a self-taught developer, I got to where I am because of like so many people that helped me along the way. So yeah, so in the future I want to be putting together like tutorials and stuff like that, and I actually want to be like live streaming the process of like putting together tutorials so folks can see like what it actually takes to like put together a nice polished YouTube video, but actually like stumble and fall along the way. But once in a while, like today, I'm gonna just be live coding. And as God, as some of you might already know, the thing that we're gonna be building today is the ever so popular Wordle. And before I start, I just want to mention that. So I had the idea like sometime last week because I've been doing Wordle like every day, and then over the weekend I saw that Redux creator and just all around awesome person Dan Abramov did this exact same thing, but instead of like dropping the idea and doing something else, I decided to just go along with it. So maybe not super original, but I feel like I think he actually just used like vanilla JS. So we're gonna see what this can be like in React and TypeScript. So with that, I'm going to get started. Also, if anybody has like questions or anything along the way, I'll try to look at the chat from time to time. But yeah, so here goes. So truly from scratch, putting together Wordle, I'm going to start by, so I'm going to be using Next.js. And the first thing that I'm going to do is create the new project with create next app TypeScript. So let's do that. So we're going to do yarn create next app, and we're going to call the app Wordle. Cool. So if you haven't used Next.js in the past, it is essentially like a batteries included React tool, and gives you a lot of really awesome goodies. I love it because it's like server-side rendered out of the box, has like CSS and JS out of the box, tons of awesome plugins. Development is super easy. And yeah, so I've just gotten like kind of accustomed to it. Also, it has like this thing called API routes, which essentially, there we go, cool. So I just created a next project. But yeah, so we're gonna be using API routes to maybe, if we get to it, move some of the like front end only logic to the back end. Sweet, so I just created this next app and CD'd into it, and we're gonna open this up. Cool. And then we're gonna do one more thing here. So we're going to yarn dev and go to localhost 3000, and sweet. So now we have a next project. Like this is the boilerplate, and this actually lives right here. So like all the content on the screen is this component, and we're just gonna delete literally all of it and just have a div. Cool. So to get started, and I'm gonna like, I thought about whether or not I should do this like like an interview and just try to kind of like knock it out like real quick, but I'm actually gonna follow some like I guess best practices, like making folders for things. So I'm gonna make a components folder, and in my components folder I'm going to make a Wordle folder. And then here, I'll just have Wordle.tsx. And this is going to be like where we're going to be doing most of the development. So let's keep the styles in there, but then we're going to import Wordle from cool. And then let's just drop that in there. If we save, this is going to crash because we're not exporting anything. So let's just export default function Wordle. So I'm making a functional component and we're just going to return, let's do hello world. Cool. So first let's talk about Wordle. So essentially, and sorry if anybody has not done the one today, but Wordle is a daily word game. And here I'm going to open this one up in an incognito window. So essentially, like you every day there's a new word and you try to guess the word, and what you do is you start by writing a 5-letter word. So let's say like hoax. Cool. So I didn't get it, but if you get a letter that's green, it means that you got that letter in the right position. If you get a letter that is yellow, it means that the letter is in the word, but you have it in an incorrect position. And if the letter is gray, it's just not in the word at all. So I know that for today's word, it starts with a P, there's an O in there, and there's no KES. So I could do, I could guess any other word really. So just to like, this is gonna be a bad guess, but like, I could say trees. Cool, so I know that R is in the second position, and I should have known that there's no E, so trees is a terrible word, same with S. But essentially you keep going until you actually get the right word. You have 6 tries. Because I did the word earlier today, I know that it is proxy. So spoiler alert, but cool, so then you win. And then one of the things, I feel like this is why this game is so viral, is that you can share it, and I absolutely love how like low code this little app is, because like sharing, you essentially just get this little text that you might have seen like in a million places, and yeah, so like people make like Slack and Discord channels to like post their Wordles, and like I don't know, it's just so easy to just click share, like share it somewhere, and then like get excited about it, react to people's success. But yeah, so like that's Wordle in a nutshell, and I feel like the best place to get started here is by listening to the user's key presses. So let's do that. We're probably gonna come back to reference Wordle like a few times, but for now, let's just keep our next project up. And cool, so let's do the first thing. So essentially, listen to key presses and be able to like put those in this word. So we can do that using, let's see. So like, let's add a global key down listener. So we want to import use effect from React. And the first thing we're going to do is use that to essentially have like a event listener on the window that's just going to listen for every key down. And that's going to get a key, or it's going to get an event with a key. And for now, let's just console log that key. Cool. So now if I go over here, I don't know if you can see the console. Let me make this bigger. That's actually not making anything bigger, but essentially, maybe you can see it. As I type, I can see like the actual keys that are being pressed. Cool. So we kind of have that first thing that we need, which is, like as you type a key, it will put it on the screen. So let's actually, so we know that we have to store the first 5 key presses if they're letters. So we're going to store that in a state array. So we're going to make some state called. So I am actually using the Dracula theme first impact. I've been using it for so many years. I don't think I'm ever going to switch to anything else. But yeah, Dracula is amazing. I also use it for my terminal. Cool. So let's make some state for the current guess, and let's call it guess, and then set guess, and that's going to be a array of letters. So in this use effect, actually it's going to be in our event listener. So every time somebody presses a key, if the guess is less than 5 characters long, or if there's less than 5 items in the array, we're going to push that, or rather we're going to add that incoming key to the guess state. So how can we do that? So let's say that so guess length is less than 5. We're going to, and we only want to add keys that are, like A through Z. So if the user presses like backspace, for instance, the literal string backspace would be the key, and we don't want to push that. So let's say like const is car. How can we determine whether or not it's just a single character? So let's say, we can just use like a regex. So we know that it's a character if it starts with any of the letters from A through Z, and then it just ends. So for now, we're gonna console log. Let's actually do an object. Cool. Now I'm just gonna refresh. So A is a car, B is a car, backspace is not. Like 7 also is not. Cool. Looks like we have a pretty solid is car const there. So if it's car, we want to update the state. And we want to do that by doing set guess, taking the previous state, and then returning an array with the previous state and now the incoming key. So now TypeScript is yelling at me because it wants this to be an array of never. So we actually want to use an array of string. Cool. And now TypeScript is happy. So cool. So if the guess is less than 5 characters, then we just push that. And why don't we, let's just console log the guess. Yeah. So in the beginning, it's an array with no items. Cool. So DE. So ABCDE right now is the current state of guess. And then if I, So if I, it looks like we are overflowing past that end boundary there. And let's figure out why. So if guess.length is less than 5, we want to add the oh, cool. Yeah, so that was like classic use effect dependency. So essentially, like, since we had cached guess.length, and the event listener was just getting called every single time, we never hit that condition. So cool, let's try it again. So ABC, nope. Let's try it over here, A, B, C, D, E, F. Cool, and now we have way too many listeners, because we're adding one on every key press. So we actually want to do this. Say function handle key down, and handle key down is going to take a key, and we're just going to take all of its content, throw it in there, and then we're going to say window add event listener. So we're going to add the handle key down callback function. Let's see. I think I might have copied the wrong thing. So window, add event listener, key down, and that's gonna call handle key down. And then we're gonna return, so to clean up our event listener, we're just gonna remove it. And with that, I believe that things should work. And we need to type key, so we're gonna type it as cool. So we refresh, and then now we can say ABCDE, and awesome. So now our guess array can only go up to 5 characters. So why don't we actually try printing that on screen, just so that we get like something written. So we can say guess, and just wrap that in a div, and we're gonna guess map. Cool, so I come here, I write, let's say testo, and then after I write testo, hitting keys does nothing. And now I'm going to let's just make a CSS file and make everything way more legible because it's very small right now. Let's say font size is like, I don't know, like 60 for now. Doesn't really matter. So we're gonna give that a class name and then import Wordle.css. Cool, so Next wants me to make this a module. So we can do that by saying rename Wordle.module.css, and then we can import styles from Wordle.module, and then we can say here styles Wordle, and nice. So that is nice and big. And let's do a couple other things. Let's set the font family to monospace. That looks terrible, but let's pretend that that's fine. Cool. And let's see. So I mean, also while we're here, why not let's say let's make a car class, and we're gonna make these little boxes. So each car is gonna have let's say 3 picks, solid, black. And so these are actually spans, so setting the width on them is not going to be great. So let's give this a class name of word. So a single word is essentially going to be like a row, and then each car is going to be the individual characters in that row. So word is going to have display flex, and let's center that. So each of these is going to be a box. So width is 60 and height is 60. And then these are also going to be display flex. And we're going to justify content center and align item center. And everything should be centered. Cool. And I actually don't think I need to do font family monospace. Although let's just keep it monospace. Why not? Cool. Okay, so we can add words, or rather we can add letters to our current word. Let's handle backspace. So handle key down takes an incoming key, right? And we know that, or you may have seen that backspace is the actual backspace key that gets logged if I write, or if I hit backspace. Cool. So let's bring isCar out, and then we can say like const is backspace equals key. Cool. So we can say if is backspace. Else if isCar and. So if it's a backspace, we're going to remove the latest key, or rather the latest car from the guess. Otherwise, if it is a car and the length is less than 5, then we're going to set it. Now we can actually just clean that up, and I'm just not a fan of like double nesting, so that's why I did that. Cool. So if it is backspace, we're going to set guess, and then now what we actually need to do is so we're going to have a temporary array, which is the previous state. And we're going to pop the last item from there and then return temp. Cool. So let's see if this works. Cool. So I can add up to 5 letters and then I can just backspace. So one thing I'm noticing now is that I actually do want like 5 of these squares. So going back to Wordle, you know, like the beginning state is that I actually have these like squares like in place already, and then as I add letters, the letters get added to those squares. So let's do that. Cool. So how can we do that? So essentially, if so instead of guess.map, I actually just want to have 5 spaces, right? And this might not be like the best way to do this, but I'm gonna make an array from length 5, so essentially just creating an array with 5 items in it, and then I'm gonna map over that. And here I'm going to return. So these items don't have any values, but they do have indices. So we're going to return. There's going to be no character in there yet. Let's just do this. Cool. Comment that out. So, okay, cool. What's happening here is that we're creating an array with 5 items, mapping over those items, and creating empty spans with that car class. So if we save this, cool, we can see 5 boxes. Amazing. So another thing I'm going to do with car is just add some margin. Let's just say like 5 pixels to like space things out a little bit. Looking good. And then what I actually want here is if there is a character at the index for a, you know, one of these like empty boxes, I actually want to use that character. Otherwise, I just want to use nothing. So we can say, let's say current car is guess at index, or just an empty string. And you know what, I'm not even gonna make a variable for that. I'm just gonna stick that right in here. So if I say like A, B, C, D, E, backspace, backspace, cool. So we can write a word. Awesome. That's actually kind of significant, I think. So let's now think about, you know, the game one more time. So we have a word that we're trying to guess. So why don't we next implement like submitting a guess? I guess the final thing that we could do is let's make an isGuessFinished variable, which is going to be, so a word is finished, or like a guess is finished when it has 5 items. So once you have 5 items in the guess array, then you can hit enter, and we can actually submit that guess to be checked against whatever the word is that we're trying to guess. So if it's backspace, we just pop the last character. If the key that's coming in is a single character and the guess is not finished, then we add it. So else if, just for consistency, we can say cool. So it's submit is if the key is enter. So if the guess is finished and they are submitting, then we want to add, well, we want to add the guess to the like an array of these guesses, since you can make like multiple guesses. So in the case of let's say that I was, you know, adding a word like apart. So when I hit enter, I'm just going to add that to this array, and I'm actually going to lean into I'm not going to have like I'm not going to implement a checking specific like step here. I'm just going to like assume that they succeeded if the last word that they submitted is the correct one. So I think we can just push that word directly to a, let's call it submitted guesses array. And we're going to use state, and this state is going to also be an array, and its type is going to be an array of arrays with strings. Cool. So if we go back here and I write like hello and hit enter, I want to get a new 5 box UI underneath hello. So let's see if we can make that happen. So if they can submit this guess, then we're going to set submitted guesses with guess. So that is the, the current, let's see. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna ignore that for now, but we want to set submitted guesses to this array. To the guess array, and then we want to set guess to just an empty array again. So what is up? TypeScript. Argument type string array is not assignable to parameter of type. Set state action. So string. Interesting. So I know that this state is an array of it's an array of arrays of strings, and I thought I typed this right, but let's try something else, I guess. Whoops. That is very confusing. let's just ignore that for now, but come back to it. So I'm just gonna throw like a to-do in here. And let's see if the logic kind of works. Guess length. So we're gonna console log submitted guesses. Just gonna refresh. So refresh again. Initially the submitted guesses is just an empty array. I'll write hello. Hit enter. Ah, of course. Why? Yeah. TypeScript doesn't like that because I was doing it wrong. So I want to set submitted guesses previous, spread previous so that we are not modifying state directly, and then pass the last guess. Sometimes you like second guess TypeScript and then you're like, I'm not smarter than the TypeScript compiler. Cool. So hello, hit enter. Now I have an array of where the first item is an array of hello, and then let's say like blahs. Now I have an array of hello and then blahs. Awesome. Cool. So clearly one of the things that we should not be doing is wiping the previous like guess here. Like it should be adding the guesses. So why don't we do that? Cool. So this right here is essentially the next word that is going to be guessed. But let's actually think about how we actually want this to function first. So we have 6 slots for guesses. And then for every previous guess, we like render it in this like fancy way. And then, you know, the next slot is essentially like a text input that we can like more or less like type into. I'm not gonna make it a text input because I feel like that's gonna make this like super hard. But yeah, so we have like 6 rows. Any previous guesses get rendered a special way, and then like the currently active guess is just, I don't know, like this one that looks like the rest but is actually like a little bit more I don't know, interactive, let's say. So why don't we actually make some components here to make this a little bit easier to reason about. So let's make a component called like current guess. We're gonna make a component called previous guess, and then we're gonna make a component called empty guess. So empty guess is gonna be the like inert components following the current guess. Current guess is what you're currently guessing, and then previous is going to be whatever you guessed in the past. And then in previous guess, we can actually like, you know, color these boxes like how we need to. Cool. So our initial state is actually going to be a bunch of empty guesses, right? So let's make an empty guess. And making an empty guess is going to be pretty easy because it is just going to return pretty much just what we have here. And we know that the empty guess will always be empty. So what happens if I save? Cool. Now I have an empty guess, and as I type, since it's just an empty guess, we're not like rendering anything else, it remains empty. And then if I do this, that doesn't look right. Oh, I need to remove this from that. There we go. Cool. So 6 guesses. That is our initial board state. But clearly this is all not interactive, so this does not work. So how do we know how many empty guesses we have to render? So we know that there's 6 total guesses that you get per the game's like rules. So we're going to, and we know that we have like the count of submitted guesses, right? So however many submitted guesses plus 1, because you are, currently guessing, is the number of, or rather 6 minus submitted guesses minus 1 is the number of empty guesses that we should be rendering. So let's do that. And we're gonna use that same trick as before where we do array from length. So the length is 6, and actually I'm not gonna hardcode the number 6. We're gonna say const total guess max is 6. And actually I personally don't like constant case. It always just like looks weird to me. So total guess max is 6. That's never gonna change. So that minus submitted guess is length minus 1, since you're always currently guessing. Map. So map gets no value but an index, and here we're gonna return that empty guess, and its key is going to be I. And if we remove, hopefully nothing changes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, no, something did change because we need to render the current guess. So current guess is going to take. So now we've kind of got our like Wordle component being like this, like state management, I don't know, like system really that's just gonna like defer to the children for rendering. But yeah, so current guess is going to get the guess, and it's going to render what we had before. Let's see. So current guess gets guess as a prop, and we're going to say type current gets props is guess, which is an array of strings. Cool. That looks wrong because we're missing the word styles. Sweet. So now we have 1 current guess and 5 slots for these like pending guesses that we're gonna move on to, I guess, from a UI perspective, but not in reality, once you submit a guess. So then the last thing that we need to do is render the previous guesses. So previous guesses let's make that plural, and that is going to get the, I guess, submitted guesses. So just for the sake of consistency, let's call it submitted guesses. So its type is going to be so it's going to get submitted guesses and we know that it's an array of arrays of strings. So string, array, array. Cool. So then what this is actually going to return is it's going to map over the submitted guesses. And then each one of those is going to be a guess. And then we have to, let's make a component for this one, just because I don't want to do like the double nested thing, and also I feel like it'll maybe let us like encapsulate this like coloring logic a little bit better. So yeah, let's make a function submitted guess, and that's going to return null for now, but we're going to map over the submitted guesses and return a submitted guess. That's going to get a guess, and we pass that guess. And this actually has to return. Cool. So submitted guess. And now we can kind of just reuse this type as guess prop, which is just an array of strings. So submitted guesses returns a guess, and that gets guess. Cool. So that's gonna get guess props. So this needs a key, and I know that I shouldn't be using indices for keys, but sometimes you have to because there's literally nothing better. So guess is a string array. Actually, I shouldn't need to type that if this prop type is correct. Amazing, cool. So when I submit a guess, we are going to render submitted guesses, which is going to map over all the guesses, and then render a submitted guess, which let's make some styles just to differentiate this. So let's say I'm actually curious. So like I normally like kebab case my class names. I think that's kebab case. But then, you know, like the standard for JavaScript variables is not that. Yeah, it's like camel case. So I wonder if it'll convert that submitted guess to camel case. Anyway, so let's say the current guess gets, no, submitted guess. Let's just test the style first. Cool. Submitted guess. Awesome. And then styles. What did I call it? So it's his class name. So that did not work. That does work. That's kind of annoying because I don't want to have to do that, but I also don't want to do this just because it feels weird, but I'd rather do that than use this bracket notation. Cool. So let's actually make this work. Can I not do that? Interesting. I thought you could combine styles like this, but I guess not. But what we can do is just use good old CSS to combine things. So in the submitted guess, that gets the guess, and then I essentially just want to do the same thing as the current guess. To render each character. If I do that, cool. So we know, at least now we know that like this pink one is a submitted guess, and then I can type in the second one. This is I don't know, kind of cool already, I think. The fact that we can like submit, like not submit until we have the word, hit backspace. But let's see. So what else do we need from this specific, like at this point in time? Like we could technically jump into actually like, you know, checking against the like word of the day or whatever. But I think I just want to make sure that we're not missing any like core functionality before we move into that step. So we have, let's see, we have the word, like a submitted guess. What would happen if I submitted the right guess? So I think if I submitted the right guess, because I do want to use the last submitted guess, like if every character in the last submitted guess is correct, then we know that like the whole word is correct. So then we don't want to render another current guess. So we can actually say like is correct. So we know that the user like submitted the right guess if. So now we have to bring the concept of like word into this. So let's call this like puzzle word. And so we're making this like Wordle component, right? And we're going to say that like the Wordle component gets a word, and then like this whole system like works around that word, you know, like so if the puzzle word is proxy like it was today, then this component will just kind of like handle everything and tell us whether or not the user got it right or wrong. Sweet. So, you know, always type your props. So puzzle word. So we could type this as string, and I wonder if we couldn't be a little bit more explicit. Oh no, return is not defined. Where did that happen? Cool. So I actually want, like, with TypeScript, I have to pass a string. So if I pass 1, 2, 3, it's gonna be like, can't do that. But I actually want to only be able to pass words that have a certain number of letters. I wonder, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this because I feel like that'll just be a lot. But could we do this by like extending? So if we have like fixed length string takes a string, let's call that S, and then say if this doesn't work, then I'm just gonna like give up on this idea. So test is never, and hello is also never. Cool, that didn't work, so whatever. We will just, I mean, I guess we could do something like if puzzle word length does not equal 5, just, you know, type check the old-fashioned way. Cool. Sweet. So now we have like the puzzle word, and we know that it is correct if submitted guesses So I want the last guess. So if there is more than one, or if there is one or more submitted guess, and submitted guesses at submitted guesses length minus 1, so you know, get the last item from the array. Cool. So since every guess is a array of strings, we have to join it, and we will join it with an empty string. So now we can say, so if the user did not guess it correctly, then we want to render current guess, right? And then we want to, if they guessed it correctly, we want to not render the current guess component. So we want to render an extra empty guess. So total guess max minus submitted guesses length minus is correct 0 or 1. Cool. So for now, no, I guess, yeah, this is fine. Actually, no, I'll just do what I was about to do. So let's just do like current guess. Just like differentiate which row is which. Nah, I really wish I could. Let's just Google this. So like, what would we even say? Like Next.js, CSS module, multiple classes. Amazing. Cool. So, okay, so you can just use a template string and interpolate two class names. So really that means that these are just like strings. Wow, yeah, so they're strings, so we can literally just do that. Cool, so current guess, we wanted to get the style of word and the style of current guess. Sweet, so now the current guess is blue, a submitted guess is pink, and a empty guess is has no background. Cool, that's pretty fun. Sweet, so why don't we then implement checking whether or not the current guess is right. So we know that the word that we're going to be using for now, or the puzzle word of the day, is proxy. So that means that submitted guesses needs to be aware of it, because like I mentioned, if they got it right, we just are going to render the last one like it's all green. So submitted guesses can just kind of take care of that for us. So submitted guesses props, and then puzzle word is a string. Cool. So then we know what the puzzle word is, and we know that submitted guess is here. Or I guess submitted guess gets a individual guess, so we'll pass the puzzle word to that as well. And that kind of stinks because so actually, yeah, I don't like the fact that we are typing guess props like this, because now it's hard to extend submitted guess. For now, let's just do this. to like get rid of the type error, but we can come back and like clean that up a little bit. Hey Travis, going good. Thanks for making it out. So far we have now trying to recreate Wordle. We can add a guess, and right now we're trying to implement actually checking if what letters were in that guess, or rather what letters were correct or maybe in the wrong place. Sweet. So cool. So we have submitted guess, which renders all the previously submitted guesses, or rather, no, an individual one, because submitted guesses does what I just said. And here, let's figure out whether or not an individual character is in the right place, or maybe not in the right place. So why don't we say this? So here, we technically don't even need this anymore because we know that guesses have the right amount of letters. But yeah, so in a submitted guess, we know that the character is, like the current character for that guess is the guess at that index. And we know, let's say guess car. And we know that the character for the puzzle word is the puzzle word at that index. So we also have to do that. Cool. And then we can say is correct. It's just, like guess car equals puzzle car. And if it is correct, then we are going to style it like it is green. So let's make a style called correct car. And let's do green yellow. That is definitely wrong. Cool. So what am I doing wrong here? Oh, of course. If it is correct, then we add that style. Otherwise, let's just do an empty string. So like normally I'd be using style components for something like this, but you get scope CSS with Next.js like out of the box, and I didn't really want to install style components. So I guess this will do, but yeah, definitely a bigger fan of style components than I am of string interpolation. So let's see. Hello, there are no correct guesses. Let's do, so we know that the word of the day is proxy. Let's do prods. Sweet. So 3 out of the 5 are correct, and then 2 are not. So here we can kind of figure out the other thing that Wordle does, which is mark it as yellow if it's just in the wrong place. So like proxy is the right word, O is in the word proxy but not in the right place. So how are we gonna do that? Let's see. So we could do like a puzzle word like includes, but there's like this weird edge case with Wordle where like, let's see, so proxy is not a great word, but let's say that the word was like fuzzy, and let's say that you guessed like, so just for the sake of like explaining how this works, fuzzy has 2 Z's, and you guess this is like AAZAA. So the Z is in the correct place. but there is another Z. And then you guess like Z, A, Z, A, A. So in this case, you would actually get this Z is yellow because like another one exists in the word, and this one is just in the wrong place. So we actually have to know like how many instances of every character exists. And that's kind of annoying, but also we can kind of just solve that, I guess, kind of easily by just creating a map out of the word that has like the count of each character. And this is not the best place for it at all, but just to keep our logic kind of all in one place, let's put it in submitted guess. So this isn't a good idea because like, you know what, let's just put it in the Wordle component instead of having to like recreate this map in every place. So let's say const car map. Or like puzzle word car count. And that's gonna be use memo because we only want to do this once. And that is gonna take the puzzle word. And what are we going to do? So we're going to take the puzzle word, split it into individual characters, and then we're going to reduce it. And we're going to reduce it into an object where, let's see. So for the word proxy, we are going to build an object that's like P1, R1, you know, O1, X1, Y1, and then for like fuzzy, it would be BUZ Y, but there's two Z's, so cool. Z is gonna be 2. So our accumulator initially is an object. So if what is it? As own property. Yeah, so like we're gonna see if accumulator does not have that character, we're gonna set it to 1. Otherwise, and yeah, I'll definitely put this in a repo. Yeah, so like I mentioned, in case anybody got here late, like this is my first stream. I know very little about the platform, still learning a ton, so I'll find where you put messages after a stream, I guess. Or yeah, like if you follow me on LinkedIn, I'll post like a little bit of, you know, like a summary there, I guess. Or Twitter, I don't know, or I guess my GitHub is in my Twitch. So if I make a repo out of this, which I will, it'll be there eventually. Cool. So yeah, back to our puzzle word card count. So if that accumulator does not have the property, whatever that character is, we're gonna set it to 1, else we're just gonna add 1 to it. And I'll be honest, I don't know like how, I've never typed reduce in TypeScript with like when I'm doing this sort of thing. So why? Let's see. Type void is not assignable to type object. That does stink because it thinks that, yeah, it is inferring that we just want like this empty object, so it doesn't want us to like add things to it. So let's do one of these. So you type it, cool, as a generic, like, just, yeah, whatever the argument is. Awesome. So that's going to be reduce, and that's going to be we can use record of string and number. Type void is not assignable to type record string number. Why? Yes, because we have to. Yep, Zubin, totally. We had to return the accumulator. Otherwise, that I think would have just straight up broken once I tried using it. Cool. So we got puzzle word car count. And we're gonna pass that to submitted guesses, which is gonna pass it to submitted guess, which I'll be honest, not a huge fan of. Maybe we could be using like context or something for this. But you know, this is just going for a solution, not necessarily a perfect solution. So submitted guess is also going to get puzzle word card count, and this type monstrosity here is terrible and I hate it, but such is life. And I really wish this was like formatting on save. Format document. Format document with prettier. Okay. Yeah, I guess next time I'll just figure out a way to like really easily set up prettier auto formatting, but for now we're fine. Cool. So cool, so we have the puzzle word car count, and we want to know is a given so the word is proxy. Oh, sweet. Now when I like submit it, it actually just stops me from like moving ahead. That's pretty amazing. So the word is proxy. We want to know, you know, like if I did like prods, PRO is in the right spot. If I did like, I don't know, SSSSS, I guess. No, that's not a good one. SAAA. We want that S to be yellow because it is in the word, but not in the correct spot. So it's like let's say like is correct. What would be like the is like in word but not in the right spot? That would be a very bad variable name. Is present. Thank you. I feel like every developer should just Twitch stream when they're coding so you get good variable names. Because naming things is honestly the hardest thing. So is present would be like not is correct. And okay, so this is, we have like the car count map, which is cool, and we can like see, I mean this, yeah, we could see if like this character is in that map, or we're gonna have to like decrement based on like the number of times that you use it. But for now, let's not do that. Let's just say car. Yes, car. Cool. So this is not what our final solution is going to be, but for now, present car or that. Interesting. Puzzle word car count. And I thought I was passing it. I wonder if the use memo like did something weird. Let's just make that green. Present car, maybe background color yellow. So prods, nope, that is just straight up breaking. So why would that be? Puzzle word car count. Let's just log that. Side note, I'm a huge fan of logging. Cool. So we had to actually return from the use memo. And grimly, I'm not sure. But Yeah, so like essentially use memo will like memoize whatever return value this callback function returns. And that's, you know, in the case of like building this object, if we weren't memoizing, it would be like, we'd be recreating this object and like, you know, doing like the split and reduce and all that like every single time this component renders, which grand scheme of things, probably not the biggest deal for something like this, because like that happens so fast. But you know, like ideally you're not just like doing these like potentially expensive operations over and over again when you actually don't need to. So yeah, use memo will memoize this return value, and it will basically like keep that in like a cache unless one of these variables in this second dependency array changes. So for instance, like if a new puzzle word came in from the parent, then it would rerun this and like recreate this object. And yeah, use effect does something kind of like really like totally different, where it takes a callback function, and then after a component renders, it will just call that callback function, which, you know, you can do things like fetch data in there. That's like, I don't know, a pretty common use case. But yeah, like this memoizes something, and then the other one's more used for like use effect is more used for, you know, side effects or things that have to happen like after your component renders. Cool. So now we have puzzle word card count, and if I do prod, that works, and then let's do like fun. Cool. I'm actually gonna go a level up and say that the word is Abby, which it actually was like a couple days ago. But here you can see that the puzzle word card count, you know, we're not like using it to its full potential. So we're saying the guess car is present if it exists in the puzzle word card count, but really every time that we find the that character in the puzzle word card count, we want to decrement it, right? So that in the word Abby, this incorrect A decrements that 1 to 0, and then this subsequent A is not highlighted because there's only one A. So cool, how do we do that? By the way, just saying, if anyone has like suggestions for any of this stuff, I'd like throw them out there. I'm not like laser focused on the chat, but I do glance at it, and yeah, if you do have any ideas. So like right now, I guess my idea is to so okay, on render, I want to like initialize like a copy of this map. And then as I'm mapping, I want to, you know, modify this map. And like, I guess I could use state for that. That seems super wonky, and I actually don't even know if state would work, since we'd be like decrementing in this map function. So we want this to be reinitialized like every time. I mean, this feels so wrong because like React, I don't know if anybody, yeah, anyone who's used React, let me know what you think of this, but I'm just gonna clone the puzzle word car count. And we're gonna call it car map. Cool. And then we're going to say, so if it is not correct, and puzzle word, nope, and car map, guess car. So if it's not correct and the car map has, you know, the value for the current character is in that map, we're going to say so is present equals true. And then I know you can do like, can I do minus equals 1? Is that a thing? Okay, so this is super gross. Wow, that actually worked. Okay. So yeah, it really doesn't feel good declaring this variable and then modifying it, but whatever, I guess. So the word is now Abby, A-B-B-E-Y. Cool. So if I did like ab, I don't know. Cool. So we know that A and B, you know, are in the right spot. If I do huh. Cool. So I got this. This B was expected. So A, B, let's do like A, B, B. Why is that happening? So cool, Abby's the right word. This is super weird. So the way that I'm like interpreting this is that like we clone the car map here, and then for the submitted guess, we yeah, we basically go and we map every character of the guess. And I guess this is a total aside here, but we could do guess split. Just to clean that up a little bit. No, we can't. Cool. Oh, no, yeah, because we don't guess split. We just guess map. Sweet. So, okay. Submitted guess is pink. We clone the car map. We're getting, so for instance, it's like, you know, A is 1, B, there's 2 B's, there's 1 E, 1 Y. And then we map over so we map over each letter. So let's do it. Yeah, it works in that case. That is super weird. Okay, cool. No, I got it. Sweet. So like what's happening is that this letter is incorrect, or rather, yeah, it's not correct, but it is present before this letter. So basically we need to know what letters in like what subsequent letters are going to be guessed. Okay, so right, the word is Abby, and I guessed ABE, EB. So this letter is like, you know, am I correct? No, I'm not correct. But do I exist in the car map? And it's like, yes. So then is present is true, but it should be false because like this correct one should technically be decrementing that letter in the car map. And now I feel like I'm getting in like this really weird place where this could actually be like more complicated than I would have guessed at first. So, how would we do that? If you say not is correct for the decrement, you need to decrement still if is correct, right? Let's see. If you say not is correct for the decrement, you need to decrement still if is correct. That is a good point. I don't know if that necessarily solves all of the thing, like the entire problem, but yeah, let's see what happens. So if is correct, and here I guess we can just do minus equals 1. So if it is correct, minus equals 1. Cool. So A, B. Yeah, so this is, again, like highlighting the issue, which is like this, ideally this correct subsequent E should decrement, but since that happens like after, then yeah. Seems like you need to do a pass and only concern yourself with is correct, then do a pass for is present. That would work. The thing about, no, that's a really good point. So we could actually first modify the car map based on like the right characters, and then we would essentially have like a leftover car map of like the amount of letters that are present but in the wrong place. Ben, you're a genius. Thank you so much. So yeah, let's do that. So yeah, we pretty much just have to lift the like is correct logic. So first, we're going to say guess for each. And I cannot stress this enough. This feels so wrong. Because like modifying like state like this is just really weird, but whatever. So guess for each guess car. We want to, maybe I can like memoize this and like that'll make it feel a little bit less gross. But so guess for each guess car, if car map guess car minus equals 1. So we do that before like, you know, printing anything. And does that work? So now, so it's A, B, B, E, Y. Let's do A, B, Z, A, B, Y, E, Z. So Y should be yellow. Oh, but it needs to be, yeah. So it's only if it's at the right place. So is correct. So for each guess car, I, cool, const is correct, equals, so puzzle word at I equals guess car, and fingers crossed we have it. Amazing. Cool. I think that's it. Thanks again, Ben. Sick. So the word is Abby. I'm gonna guess trade. So A and E, R and Abby just in the wrong place. I'll guess like cool. So I got, you know, R and O are not in the word, so I can do a, I don't know, apple, sweet. And finally, sweet. This is actually like, yeah, it seems pretty good so far. What should we do? So in Wordle, if you guess the right thing, it says splendid. And then it gives you the statistics. That's gonna be way too much to code in one session. But why don't we have like some sort of thing where if it's like, you know, if like is correct, then we show them like a little message that says, and then if they run out of guesses, nice, since I guessed Abby correctly. So blahs, amazing. And then we can say, how about styles dot like success message. $24 feels right. Why not? Cool. Sweet. And we're actually just gonna have like a message, and that's gonna have this, and then, you know what? I was thinking about making it like, if it's success, I don't know, like green, and if it's fail, like red, but really, I think it looking like this for both cases is totally fine. So we know that if it's correct, if whatever that logic is, but we can also know if it is failure, if not is correct, and they've guessed total guess max. So unfortunately, if it is a failure, we're gonna say oh no, better luck next time. So let's try that out. Sweet. So let's make this look a little bit better. And how are we gonna make it look better? Let's see. So if the guess is, it's a submitted guess, let's make it, yeah, let's just like follow some of these patterns. Why don't so let's go grab some cool colors. Nope. .co. Nice. So I've been using this tool for so long. Basically just lets you make some really neat, simple color patterns. You just hit space until you finally get a color that you like. So I like that one, so I click the little lock. Love this yellow, to be honest. So saving it immediately. So we need, this is gonna be the background. Let's just make this the border for the like pending guesses. So we need a green. How about a better green? All right, next green. Yeah, that's totally fine. Cool. So let's copy some values, and I'm actually just gonna make this in. So I'm gonna make the whole background like that dark color. But I'm curious if I have like a Next.js global styles. Applying global styles to Next.js. So you need some global styles, style JSX global. Sweet. So let's do that here in this wrapper. Style. Cool. So we're gonna say root. Does this have to be JSX? Yes, it does. Really? Bummer. I don't know why, but oh, cool. Yeah, there we go. Sweet. So let's do that. Let's change that back to root. Let's make the text. All right, and you know what? We're gonna make some CSS variables out of this. So the syntax for that is, I think it's this. Cool. So yep. So that's gonna be our black. That's gonna be our white. We're gonna set the background color to red, just like test it out. Cool. But then we're gonna use the variable. Amazing. Sweet. And then let's grab. We've got yellow. Green. And I think that's like all the colors. Cool, black, white, yellow, green. Let's see if we can use that here. So we no longer need, oh, I guess we do need the border. So the border is going to be, wow, that is so nice. But it clearly has like, you know, it clashes with our white text. Let's see if this yellow, yeah, it looks a little better. Cool. So a submitted guess right now has a background color of pink. So what we actually want to do is add, so we have this car is correct, present car, and then we're just gonna create one more that is like, let's group the characters together. So like every character has these styles, correct characters have these styles, present has this, and then we're just gonna say like guest car. So every guess, like every character in a guessed word will not have a border. Current guess. It is in submitted guess. Cool. Sweet, so we remove the border. And then we want to, let's just like lighten it up a bit. So we can say like background color is going to be RGBA. So it's gonna be white, but like 10% opacity. Nice. And that like, I don't know, that in my opinion already looks just like infinitely better. So Wordle, we have our Wordle component. Let's say background color is gonna be red for now. Sweet. So what I'm actually gonna do is make this component be height 100% viewport height, and then we're going to take all of this content and then call it, I mean, I don't know if we actually need a style for this, but yeah, let's just call it styles Wordle board, because it's kind of like a game board. And I'm gonna set display flex on that, justify content center. Nope, I want align item center. And justify content center. Neat. So really like our Wordle component is like the Wordle board. Cool. Okay, so just notice the bug. So this is adding an additional, it's adding an additional like guessable row. Oh, if it is not correct. So we need to hide that if it is not correct. So not is failure. So if it is not a failure and it is not correct, then we show the guessable. Sweet. What else can we do that would be interesting? So we have 20 minutes because I'm gonna cut this short, or I'm gonna like end this around 9. Although yeah, like if anybody like has any specific questions or anything, just like feel free to type them in the chat and I'll go over a bit. But one of the things that I personally like about Next.js specifically is that you can like out of the box make API requests to like this like server that just knows like, okay, I'll just explain what you can do here. So in pages, which like every page is essentially like a route in your application. So the home page is in pages index right there. So if I were to make, let's say, a folder called like about, and then here I said new file index.tsx, and I export default function about return h1 about, awesome. Then I can go to the about page and it says about. Sweet. So yeah, Next.js is cool because it's routing built in out of the box, but I don't actually want this about page, so I will delete it. But yeah, so in the same pages folder, we have this API folder, and in this API folder, you can create API endpoints. So for instance, I can really easily make an API endpoint that is like get word, or like, let's just call it word.ts. And let's say that our word database is, could you check guesses against a dictionary of known words? Yeah, so one of the things that Wordle does, and Connor, I don't know if you are a Wordle enthusiast like myself, but so in Wordle, I'll actually just like pop open another cool, like a fresh, oh man. not so fresh after all. Okay, incognito window, Wordle. So that is not a word, and it's like not in word list. So I think Wordle like knows all its known words. So I could, in theory, like implement exactly that. So like when you submit a guess, if that guess is not in our word database, then just be like, that's not a word. I don't know, like if I was actually making this game from scratch, I don't think I would actually implement that as a feature. Like I could see the benefit of like, you know, if somebody was like A-E-I-O-U, that's kind of lame because now they know like all the vowels that are in their word. But also, I don't know, I feel like I've tried guessing like a word that I feel like I know is a word, and it was like, that's not a word. But whatever. Yeah, so I guess you could, but what I actually want to do here is not implement the type checking, or rather like the word checking, but just have a system for like fetching this from an API, so that maybe like we could set it up so that if I come back tomorrow, it's like, you know, got a different word. So let's say that the words are Abby, Roxy. I don't know, let's have like 3 or 4 words in here. If anybody wants to throw out 5-letter words, I'd really appreciate it because I'm totally blanking. Metal, space, and games. I'm gonna do wrong. Games. Is that how you spell luge? Logie? Cool. I'll stop at taboo. Tabo? Or is it? Now these words just look wrong. Shouldn't have doubted you, Connor. It is T-A-B-O-O. Cool. So we have our words dictionary. And we... Okay, so from an API route in Next.js, you like export default. It doesn't have to be handler, but you can just... there we go. Let's just export a default function, and then this gets a request. And let's just pull up hello just to have this comparison. And you can like send anything you want. So we're gonna send a word. And what we're gonna do is, let's say, so we want to like index today to like 0 and then get the current date and figure out what we need to increment the index by and then return that for the word. New date, get day. Yes, but I do want to, I'm kind of curious if Next.js like has like its own like date thing, which now that I say it out loud, doesn't make any sense. Yeah, no, that wouldn't make any sense. So let's do that. Actually, first, let's see what that looks like in the console. Get day is 2. Okay, so can we actually... How would we like figure out the actual like day of, I don't know, like, you know how like Unix time is like seconds since that one date in like the 70s? Is there a way to get like the number of days that have elapsed since then? Or can we like subtract dates? MDN, subtract dates. I really wish I could make the console bigger. Wow, I say that and then I immediately do it. Amazing. So I can say var date equals new date, date. Yeah, is there like a get date? Or like, I don't know, like some sort of offset? That's the actual number of days since that place. So we can do seconds in a year. So date get time, let's see. Millis, not days though. Yeah, so it would kind of be like a poor user experience if the word changed every millisecond, because everyone's solutions emoji would not be fun. But is this milliseconds? Because then I could just like convert that into like, you know, like milliseconds in a day. How do you get the seconds? Oh, that's the same thing. Cool. Anyway, maybe like let's stop focusing on that because that is taking way too long. But let's pretend like we're gonna solve for that in a bit. So the route component here is going to be next API request, and then so we got the request and the response, and that's going to be next API response, and that is going to be word string. Cool. Response status. Sweet. So now we have this word endpoint that we can actually just fetch from Wordle. So we can say like function use word of the day. It's going to be a custom hook that is going to call use effect, and then that's only going to happen once. So we're going to say function fetch word, and that is going to be an async function. So we're going to say const word equals await fetch API.word, then returns the body. Is it JSON? Actually, let's see what that does. Const word, set word, use state null. So it's gonna be null or string. Cool. So that has to be pulled out. Cool. So here we can say const word of the day equals use word of the day. And then if word of the day is null, we're going to return and I don't actually, oh no. Cool, so puzzle word. So you can't call hooks conditionally, so because we're memoizing this puzzle word map, then we have to call this after that, because if this happens after this, then the number of hooks called in a render will be like different, and React does not want that. So let's just check if this is even working. So word of the day is null. Cool. And then here, oh, we're never actually calling fetch word, so fetch word. And actually I just want to console log the response. Let's see what it is. Internal server error. Fun. Cool. Yeah, no, so we definitely messed that up. Sweet, so word of the day is blah. Cool, so let's actually return a word. So like, let's say that a function that has, like, let's pretend that we actually figured out how to do the date thing. So we can say like function like get index from date. And fun fact, it's just gonna return 0 for now. But the word that we're gonna return is going to be today's word is wordsdb at that index, and we can save that. Unexpected default. Cool. Cool, so now it is, the word of the day is Abby. So we no longer need in our Wordle component that prop. And now we don't need that error because the API is actually returning it. Puzzle word. Cool, so we're gonna update that. So if word of the day is null, we're gonna return just an object. And then puzzle word is not defined. Where is that? Sweet. So now we have this Wordle that takes guesses. So I don't know, like horse has an E. What were some of the other words that were given? Like proxy. So Y is at the correct index. So it has an E and an A, and then if I guess it correctly, it's like you did it, you were the smartest. Then I'm gonna guess metal over and over again because it's really easy to type. It's like, oh no, better luck next time. Cool. So, man, bummer that we couldn't do this one, because so the idea here is that I essentially want to be like start of this website is like, this is going to be like pseudocode. So like the start of this experience that we're releasing into the world is going to take Twitter by storm, and some people are going to really hate it for some reason. It's going to be like, I don't know, like today, pretend that this string is like somehow indicative of today's actual date. What I want this to do is essentially look at like whatever date this request is being made, and get the difference. So like const like incoming request date is now. So I basically want to be like index, or I guess like days offset would be the incoming request date, right? Minus start of this website, and like the first day that I release this, it would be 0, and then every day from then on, they would just increase by 1, and then I could come back and like, you know, let's say that it's day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we're about to run out of words, then I can just like go into my like little API thing and just, you know, add another word. But cool. Yeah, so I would call this, I guess, like feature complete. The things that I didn't get to, would have liked to add, but honestly it would take a lot more time, would be to have this cool keyboard that, you know, shows you like what you've guessed and what you've gotten right, and then also like it shows you like what you haven't gotten right. And what I would also really like to guess or implement if I could would be, or I guess if we had more time, is when you click share, it like copies this super fun and, you know, high potential for virality emoji representation of your guesses. But alas, I did not. It is 9 p.m. and I feel like this was like perfect timing. So sick. I'm gonna try to yeah, I'm gonna try to do one of these at least like every couple weeks, almost certainly on Tuesday, almost certainly at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. But yeah, thanks so much for everybody that hung out. Hope this was fun. Hope you learned something, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace, y'all. Yeah, and I'll get this repo up there and you know, share on the appropriate channels at some point in the near future. All right, and with that, I will be ending the stream. Bye.